It's here, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. The HasLab Sentinel is here. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the HasLab and today we have a real special video of the HasLab Marvel Legends Sentinel. So this thing is ginormous Sentinel for the X-Men, and here on the front of the box we have a big giant Sentinel head right here with another Sentinel in the background. Then we have Wolverine facing off against Bastion, which is a figure we will be getting in this set. And so this set, as you can see by the X-Men logo and the way it's designed here down at the bottom, it's made for the House of X, which was a way we did like last year or earlier this year, I don't remember. So we have this Sentinel that go along with it, which fits perfectly with all our other House of X-Men characters and all of our other Sentinel-like characters that we've gotten. So this is gonna be awesome. And I hope you can hear me, but I'm gonna spin the box right here just so you can see all the sides. Hopefully you can see everything well. So here on this side, we do have some more characters. So it looks like we have an Omega Supreme. Then it looks like we have a Professor X, and I don't know if that's Moira. She looks like she's in the Marvel Girl Jean Grey outfit, but she has different heads, so it looks like Moira. And up at the top, we have Omega Sentinel fighting off against Magneto there. And if we continue spinning, we have another picture here on the back side. So we have a giant Sentinel facing off against, there's the actual Marvel Girl and Cyclops. That just looks really awesome. That's a really nice picture there. I love the artwork and everything of this. And finally, on the last side, we have more Sentinels. We have the Female Prime Sentinel and then more Sentinels there in the background. Thanks. So overall, this thing just looks super cool. Just like the box is huge, has amazing artwork on it. So we're definitely going to be keeping the box. And then just everything about it just so cool. So we have the HasLab Sentinel, which cost a lot of money. It was part of their kind of like a Kickstarter thing where you had to like pledge your money to it. And that was over a year ago now. So we finally got it in. We actually just got it in like minutes before me recording this. So we've been waiting on it and all excited. So the Sentinel itself is going to be 26 inches tall or somewhere around in there. So it's going to take up a lot of this space. So it's going to be really hard for me to do this review, especially, you know, trying to get it fit into the camera. But hopefully I can get stuff worked out with editing and all sorts of stuff. But let's go ahead and get this big giant box out of the way and start looking at the Sentinel first. And then of course we got all sorts of accessories and everything that come along with it, and we'll check all of that out. So here we have the Sentinel out of the box, and you can see how tall it is overall. So there's the table, and we have to go all the way up to see its head. And so this is exactly how it comes out of the box. So it comes out with the normal Sentinel head. Of course, the main body of it, again, is all going to be the same, and your same base body. Comes with the hands with movable fingers and all the way down to the legs. And of course, it's built like a normal Marvel Legend, so it's going to have a lot of the exact same movements. But there is one issue that at least we're facing so far, and that's that there's some issues with like the knees being like too weak or something, or too bendable, so he tends to like start falling forward, or maybe it's the ankles. I can't remember where the joint is exactly, but he keeps like bending forward a little bit, so we have to kind of get his like knees bent a little bit to the back and to get him to stand straight up. So that's just one issue we have so far, but other than that, this thing looks cool. No issues with movements, nothing worried about being broken or anything. Everything just looks cool. But we have the Sentinel, which is a mutant hunting robot made from advanced technology by Bolivar Trask. And Sentinels have the powers of energy weapons, restraining devices. It can fly, as mutant detectors built into it, and they're highly resistant to damage. So that all makes Sentinels perfect enemies to fight against the X-Men. Well, let's go and look at its articulation. Hopefully I can get it here in the camera with it as big as it is. So let's go start with the head. So the head can move up and down just a little bit there. So it is on a ball joint. So it's only the movement of the ball there. So it can twist all the way around as well as you want there. And we will see that ball joint a little bit later so you can see what it looks like and everything. So you just get that twist there and a little bit up and down. But if we twist it around here, we can look at the shoulders. The shoulders do come up to 90 degrees, and it does have this extra little armor padding that does get out of the way, so it's not really going to bother anything too much. So it can come up there to 90 degrees and does also allow the shoulder to rotate around within there. Of course, the joints overall are a little stiff, so it's hard to get some of these movements, but it does have that in there. And if we lift this out of the way, you can also see some of the bicep twists in there as well. So it allows it to twist around in there. And then we go to the double elbow joint, which can bend up this far, so about 90 degrees there. So pretty good joint overall, I do have to say. And then we get the wrist that twists around on a ball joint and can flex back and forth as well. And then with these hands, they do have all movable fingers, so each finger does have multiple points of articulation. So like with the thumb here, it can rotate up and down, and then it has a joint here, so it can rotate back and forth, and like that, the actual finger joint there can move as well. And so the same with all of these fingers, have multiple joints and movements, so you can like put a figure in its hand and get it to move around so it can actually hold it, or you can just, you know, pose it into a fist, whatever you want to do with that there. Now it does have an ab crunch, so it can crunch back and forth here. There's a bit of a joint right in the middle there. You can maybe see some of the movements rocking back and forth in there. And it does also twist around right under like the chest section. So it can twist side to side. It is just really stiff, so it is hard to move it. And so as I'm moving this, one issue I'm really starting to see is all in the legs. So I feel there's going to be a lot of issues with the legs, at least on our figure, because as I'm moving around, the legs are starting to like split out to do the splits, and they're like the legs are bending and everything, the knees. So I'm having a lot of issues with the legs, unfortunately. So for the legs, the hips do come up to 90 degrees, so really good movement in there. And there's a thigh twist as well, so you can twist around in there. We have the double knee joint here, so the knee can bend up, and as you saw, it bent real easily. So that's one thing, unfortunately. The knee's going to be real loose, at least for us on this one. So that's going to be an issue with this figure overall, but good movements in the knee at least. And gotta hold it all weird just to get the foot up here to show it to you. And then we have the foot, and it does rock back and forth as usual, and has the twist side to side, so you can get the feet adjusted to be able to stand it up. So pretty good movements overall in the feet. So as I mentioned, overall it is your pretty standard Marvel Legends figure, so not a whole lot of issues with movements or anything. It still does pretty good. Like I said, we do have issues with the legs though that are kind of making it hard to stand, and I don't know if you can see, but if we have it just standing up like normal, you can see it is kind of leaned forward here, and I'm having to hold on to the feet so it doesn't fall forward. So we have to just kind of push it back, which bends at the knees, and just kind of get it standing straight up so all the weight's, you know, in the center of the body. Now before we move on, this does also have electronics in it as well. We did have to put AAA batteries in it to be able to work, but you just put them in the back, so this whole like back piece comes off, and then there's a little door with the screw and stuff that you have to unscrew to put the batteries in, and then put the flat back on. But with this, to get it to work, you just hit the button right on the chest, so it's just this little piece here, and it lights up, and it kind of changes some colors. I don't know exactly like what all it does, but as you see, if it turned on, it was more like a white or yellow, and then it turned to red, so the eyes are red as well as the chest. But if you hit it again, it starts off white, but then it starts to go to like a yellowish, greenish, orange like sort of color, and the eyes have that same color as well. And then if you hit it once again, it'll stay that color, but then changes all to green. And so now the eyes match with green as well. So again, I don't know what all it's supposed to be. I assume it'd be like kind of like testing for like mutants and stuff. You know, if it's red, it's like, oh, you're a mutant, so I'm going to kill you. But if you're just a normal human, it'll be green or whatever. But I did also find out that if you push on it red, just push on it and like kind of hold it, it kind of flashes between the colors there. And then just stops on like your standard white, but the eyes are off on it. So again, I don't know what that stands for. And then let's see if we hold it even longer, it kind of starts like fading in and out of the colors. Again, I don't know what all the settings are, and I don't know how to get to the shut off besides just maybe if you let it sit here, it'll turn off by itself. I thought maybe if you pushed and held on it, that's where I learned all these different buttons. I thought if you just pushed and held on it, it would shut off eventually. But also with this Sentinel, we get a bunch of accessories, which to me is the coolest part of it. So first off, we have a damaged head here. So it looks just like the Sentinel head, just all damaged and everything. And you can put this on there, so you just pop that head off and put this one on instead. So if you want it to look battle damaged, but of course with like the head, you don't have the rest of the body look damaged. So this will be a nice, like, we're going to use it as like a display piece or whatever, you know, just sit it around by the X-Men, so it's like they've actually taken down a Sentinel. But that looks pretty cool overall there, just the way it's all destroyed and beat up and everything. And to go along with that, you also get a hand as well. So we have an all damaged hand, so it's mostly in the center here, and it's missing some fingers. You can see they kind of like chopped them off or whatever, so they look broken. So it just has a couple little fingers, and like some of its outer shell is ripped off and everything. So that's a cool little piece. You can switch out with a hand as well, but again, with these damage, we're just going to have them sitting around as display sort of pieces. And with the Sentinel as well, we do get some tentacles. So originally with the HasLab, it was for one tentacle, but once we reached so much, it was like one of the last things they added. They did give us two, and with these, they do have places on the hand. So if we lift the hand up here, we can fold the fingers down. You can see there is like the place here where they would like shoot out of their hands. Well, with this, you can take and just stick one of the tentacles into the hole. So there we have the tentacle sticking out of the hand there, so it can be reaching out for a mutant. And the tentacle is all flexible. You can like twist it around and everything. It has a lot of flexibility going to it, so you can take and wrap it around like a Wolverine or any other X-Men and have it wrapped around like it has caught one of them. And again, we have two, so you can put one in each hand if you want to. But for other accessories, we do get a Tri-Sentinel head. So we have the head of the Sentinel that has all three heads on it. So we have different heads on here. So we have a silver Sentinel head right there in the center. Twisted around to the side more, we have a gold one, which looks, you know, just like your basic Sentinel. And then we have another gold one, but it has like a blast or something in its mouth area. So that's really cool. So we can switch this out. So with the Sentinel, you just pop the head right off. It is a little bit difficult, but you can see it is just a ball joint there that it is attached onto. But there's what it looks like without the head. So it is just a ball with the little lights in there to be able to, you know, do the colors and everything. But then it's just like a normal head with any other action figure. You just take and pop the new one right back back on. So there we got the head of the Tri-Sentinel, and you can obviously twist it all the way around to be whichever head of the Sentinel you want, but I think I like the one here with like the blast thing in its mouth, like it's going to be shooting that out. I think that looks probably the coolest. But with Tri-Sentinels, they were created by Loki, which is kind of oddly enough, and they are a combination of 3 different types of prototype Sentinels all mixed together. Now with Tri-Sentinels, they usually also have 3 sets of arms as well, but with this, you know, it's just one single body with a head you can switch out. Just another option there if you want that Tri-Sentinel head. But then we also get the head of Master Mold. So here we've got the big head of Master Mold. Now the overall size is different. So if you saw like the Sentinel head, I can bring it up here. So there is the Sentinel head that was on it, and there is the Master Mold. So you can see the big size difference between the two. So, you know, the normal Sentinel head does look a little bit small compared to it, but the Master Mold head is huge and has like more details and everything to it. And I just like this a lot more. So let's go ahead and switch this out. So there we have the Master Mold head on the Sentinel. And this finally is the head that we are going to be using for this set, because we want the Master Mold since he's bigger and the head seems to fit a little bit better, like in proportionate, at least for us, to the body. So we are going to be using this as a Master Mold. And as I'll show you in a little bit, you'll see why we have chosen to do that. But I think it looks super cool. Like I said, I think the proportions are a little bit better with the head, but I think it looks pretty awesome there with the Master Mold head. It looks a lot like Galactus kind of to me, just without the little horns coming off his head, but that looks super cool. And just so you know, Master Mold is a supercomputer in the shape of a giant Sentinel that controls and creates the Sentinel. So he's pretty much like a giant factory that produces the Sentinel. So Master Mold is even bigger than normal Sentinels. And so since this is so big, we are going to be using this as a Master Mold. And finally with this set, we do get some additional figures as well thrown in. So we have these two as well that we are going to look at, but we have Bastion and then a Female Prime Sentinel. So we're going to take a look at each one of these now. So if you don't know, Bastion was created when Master Mold absorbed an emerald into its system and then went through a pan-dimensional portal that emerged on the other side in a human and Sentinel hybrid, and given the name of Sebastian Gilberti by the lady that found him. And eventually Sebastian began assembling anti-mutant strike force. So although Sebastian isn't like a true Sentinel, his processing started to filter in, so he wanted to hunt down mutants. So he started an anti-mutant strike force and began secretly outfitting humans with some nanotechnology that would turn them into Prime Sentinels. So we will see a Prime Sentinel here in a second. So overall, he looks just like a pretty normal guy, you know, does have a more humanish face. You can see some of the robotics and everything in there, especially there in his chin, but he's got glowing red or like pinkish color eyes there, and then some white hair that's there like kind of flowing, and a little bit of a little beard there on his robotic chin as well. So it looks pretty cool there with all the robotics and stuff going into the body. But overall, the body's, you know, just like your basic Marvel Legends male figure, just all in black, but he has some purple, so it has kind of like that Sentinel look to it with the purple and the little red triangle there, and then has a little bit of gold there on the side of his body, and but the rest of him is just all completely black. So like I said, just a basic Marvel Legends figure, just all in black. And for Bastion's powers, he has those cybernetic body, as you can see, so that gives him superhuman strength, speed, durability, agility, the ability to self-repair himself, and because he's got part Sentinel in him as well, he has the ability to adapt to mutant powers, and he has technoforming. So overall, Bastion seems pretty cool just in general, but for the movements of the figure, the head can twist. Of course, his beard kind of gets in the way there, but it can twist all the way around and look down just about that far. Again, with the hair kind of gets in the way and looks up that far. So pretty good movements, but a little stiff in the neck as well. Shoulders can come up to 90 degrees and can rotate all the way around. We get a bicep twist, a double elbow joint that can bend up that far there, and the wrist can twist around and flex back and forth. He has the ab crunch right there, so crunch forward and back there a little bit and twist all the way around at the waist. Hips come up over 90 degrees out to the side that far. Thigh twist that can twist all the way around. A double knee joint that can bend up that far in the back. Shin twist at the top of his boot area, and then the foot can rock back and forth and twist side to side. So again, it is just your standard Marvel Legends figure, and then he comes with an accessory to switch out. So we get an additional head here, and this is for a Prime Sentinel, so you can have it as Bastion, or you can switch the head out to turn it into a Prime Sentinel. So as you can see, it looks like a Sentinel head, just with a human face this time. So let's go and switch this out. So there we have the Prime Sentinel head on it, and that looks pretty cool. So again, it does look more just like a normal like Sentinel, at least head-wise and stuff, just with a human head mixed into it. And Prime Sentinels are humans with cyborg nanotech implants that turn them into armored beings with powerful weapon systems, and are used by Bastion to attack mutants associated with the X-Men. And they have the powers of flights and enhanced physique from the cybernetics. Optic lasers, force blast, can dampen mutant powers, and have the homing sensors to be able to find the mutants. So they just look pretty cool overall, and I really like the look of this, but of course I want to add Bastion more. But we do have another Prime Sentinel of the female that was thrown in as well. So we have the female version. So again, just like the other one, just in the female form. So again, it has that Sentinel-like head design, just with a human face, and then it has the long blonde hair there as well. And then it still has the robotics going down into the neck, into the purple chest plate as well. And then its body is just like Bastion's as well, where it's all black, and it's just your standard female body there with nothing else on it besides all black just at the top there. And so for her movements, her head can twist all the way around. She can look down that far and up that far as far as her hair will let her. So not too bad in the neck. The shoulders come up 90 degrees and can rotate all the way around. We get the single elbow joint that bends to 90 degrees and has the rotation. And then we get the wrist that twists around and flex back and forth. We have the ab crunch right under her chest, so she can crunch back and forth there. Again, mostly back with this one, and can twist all the way around. The hips come up 90 degrees out to the side that far. Thigh twist all the way around. Double knee joint that bends up that far in the back. And the foot can flex back and forth and can twist side to side. So there we have our Bastion and our Prime Sentinels together. So that looks pretty cool. And of course, with the Prime Sentinels, we do have Omega Prime Sentinels, and we have seen those before. So we have those two versions of the Omega Prime Sentinels as well that fit in perfectly with this together. And we can even bring in some other stuff of our Nimrods here. So we have our two different versions of Nimrod, as well as our Theta Sentinel. So again, all these things fit together with the Sentinels. So those all look awesome together. Now we can just throw it in with our other Sentinels that we have in figure form. So here we got our Sentinel family all together. So we have our master mold there with our two other Sentinels that I think were from like the Marvel Universe figures, or we got one with like the Wolverine pack like a while ago. So we have our two Sentinels there. So again, those are going to serve as like our two normal Sentinels that have been, been made by master mold. So that's why we're leaving the master mold head on there, so we can have master mold going into the other two Sentinels. And then of course we can pan down here to our two Nimrods, our Theta Sentinel, our Bastion and Prime Sentinel, and Omega Prime Sentinels there. So all our Sentinel family here, all living together happily under the watch of the master mold in the new HasLab Marvel Legends Sentinel. So overall, that's going to be it for our Marvel Legends HasLab Sentinel. Like I said, this thing is pretty awesome, but of course it was expensive, but I think they helped made up for, of course, with the overall size of it, because this thing is enormous, and all the accessories that came with it as well that I showed you throughout the video. So I think overall it did make it pretty well worth the price, and I think it's just so awesome and just a cool thing to have in your collection that makes it worth it alone. But let me know what you thought of the Sentinel down in the comments. Did you get this for yourself, or do you want this figure now after seeing it? Just let me know what you think of it down in the comments. But if you enjoyed my review of this figure, let me know with a thumbs up on the video, and of course don't forget to hit that subscribe button down there as well. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.